Zone. It's a Friday, and we're talking football non-stop. All football, all the time. This is another edition of Football Friday with JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Just talking shop here at the Kia in Linden. We're just going back and forth, man. We're just trying to learn more about cars here. But that's where I am. And, of course, all the guys are without me up at Box Elder High School today, taking in the sights and sounds of high school football, which I guess kicks off a little bit earlier today, right, guys? I mean, isn't that what we're
6 p.m. kickoff tonight for our game here, Box Elder versus Granger. There's some games that have already taken place. While we're on the topic,
where'd you get a bag of popcorn, JJ? What's going on here?
We got our
You caught me in the middle of a snack.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, my bad.
I want to take a quick moment to congratulate the Lone Peak Knights. They are 6A state soccer champions again.
Hey.
And also Olympus defeats Brighton in a shootout to win the 5A state title. So a little love to the girls soccer teams in the state.
Nice. That doesn't make me real happy because they beat Davis. Lone Peak did.
Right.
So that's, yeah. So my neighborhood's going to be all sorts of sad. But yeah, listen, the women's soccer in the state has gotten – I mean, they're handing out scholarships to girls here because we got some really, really good players. So, yeah, state championships. I think about how my brother won a state championship as a soccer player in high school. And, like, that was a moment as, like, a 10-year-old. It's burned into my memory. And I wasn't even, like, soccer guy. But, like, winning a state title – in something is just that's a phenomenal. Did any of you guys win state championships when you were in high school? I feel like Riley probably had 6 or 7.
I rode the fire truck my junior year.
Oh, look at you
after
guys!
We won state on our own home field.
I got close in basketball. Yeah.
Oh, hoops were closer, huh?
I know Riley did. I was there for it.
Yeah, lost our sophomore year when I was like a special teams guy, and then we were able to get one my senior year, and then we never got close in baseball. Like baseball was always double elimination. I remember like we would always go like 2-2. Like we'd lose one, then we win a couple, then lose another. And then basketball, farthest we ever made it was quarters to the round of 8.
See, in the Seattle area, it was like, hey, just get in the playoffs and just make sure you don't play any of the Metro teams. As soon as you start playing like your Garfields and your Roosevelts, you're going to get your butt kicked. But yeah, so we never even got close. But it's a pretty cool thing when these kids are winning state titles. So yeah, the road to state championships. Are either one of these teams going to win the state championship in 5A this year?
The odds are not high. We all know that Timpview lurks.
Yes.
And Roy and Bountiful have good teams. That Brighton team we saw last week is really good. Orem's in that mix, but and Olympus as well. Give them a little love, but Timpview's the obvious, the defending champs. They're the obvious front runner here.
Well, our program is brought to you.
Them down.
Oh, yeah. Our program is always brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives. Make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Give it a shot today. Costco, Holiday Oil, and Maverick, and Associated Foods. Find them in the refrigerated section. Let's kick things off here.
Fueling the current and future. They should add that to their tagline. Fueling the current and future state champions of high school activities.
Listen, if the USHAA wants to get on board with G2G Bars, I'm all for it. I thought you were talking about JJ and his candy fueling the rest of the program.
No,
it's going to be a long night here.
That's a manufacturer that doesn't sponsor the show. Although we could get the marketing team
That's given.
If they want a mention, if what JJ's Consumer wants a mention, we'll have to get the sales team on there.
I can't tell you what it is unless. All right.
No free plugs.
No, absolutely not. Let's kick off the show as we always do with the cut. Let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And, of course, this portion of the show brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJANwealth.com for all your local trusted financial needs in retirement. And, of course, on Sundays, Mitch Harper and I jump in and break down the entirety of the Big 12 with our show First and 12, which is on Sundays, 10 to noon. It actually plays on KSL News Radio and on the KSL Sports Zone. It's all brought to you by Macy's Grocery Store. Happy shopping. So let's talk a little bit about what the hurdles are that not just BYU but Utah have to get through the rest of the season here. Iowa State I think they're at a bye this week, so they're not playing this week, so they'll be undefeated. BYU not getting a ton of credit because they're taking on a UCF team who's actually really kind of scary, I guess, just because of
they're not bad.
But we say that, but they've also lost 4 games in a row. Like, I don't know if anybody – I guess
That's
it's like
dangerous.
Utah. You go, look, they've lost 3 games in a row, but we know what they can be. And so in UCF's case, their quarterback's not very good through the air, but he runs the ball very, very well. And R.J. Harvey is one of the best running backs in the country.
He's no Dylan Gabriel of the UCF a decade ago, and yet somehow still playing for Oregon.
Isn't that crazy?
Again,
Isn't that
speaking
crazy?
of COVID,
Wasn't that 2020?
I think so.
2020, BYU lines up, plays UCF in
Yeah.
the Boca Raton Bowl.
Yes.
Dylan Gabriel lining up for the Knights, and BYU just taking him behind the woodshed, and somehow that dude's still taking snaps. Anyway,
Well, listen, by the
sorry.
way, that was a game that everybody's like, 2 times on travel. And, they're playing in UCF's backyard.
And BYU went
And-
down to take care of business.
Dylan
they did.
Gabriel was a freshman at UCF in 2019.
19, yeah. So, and then he broke his leg at the front end of 2021, or when was that? I'm trying to figure out.
2021. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
he was healthy that 2020 bowl game.
Yeah.
Yep.
But BYU, by the way, their last 2 trips down to Florida have resulted in wins. I think the last one was a UCF win. The only thing I remember that game was play number 1 of the entire season. Your classic jet sweep to Puka Nacua for 75 yards. That was the first touch of the entire season for Puka, and he, of course, got the touchdown. By the way, did you see Puka last night? Nice little
back.
performance for the locals in the NFL. That dude
Yes.
is a different level of energy on the field, man. Like, and I think it doesn't hurt that his hair is like flying around on every play, but man, that guy is a legit
Do
pro.
yourself a favor. Go to his Instagram account. Slide through. He posted a bunch of pics, but in there he's got this little video. Have you guys seen this clip? I'm sure you have. I'd seen it before, but I saw it again. And I don't know how old he is. He's probably somewhere around 9 or 10. But they're doing a little like Little League feature or whatever. He's like, I'm Puka Nacua. I play quarterback and free safety. And I love football. All I like to do is football. And I will play football for the rest of my life or whatever. And anyway, it's
That's
pretty
pretty darn
awesome
cool.
because you can just tell how the dude loves the game. And you saw him in the post game talking about because they were talking about his blocking, and he's just like, bro, it's football. Like, you love it. And he's talking about how he used to idolize Lawrence Taylor. So like, you got a dude that just absolutely loves the game. Used to idolize Lawrence Taylor, but he's out there playing wide receiver and making all sorts of plays.
That's
You'd love
pretty
to see
awesome. Well, it's funny to see him in all these ads too. Him sitting next to like Micah Parsons and like just, I mean, he's taken off, man. And by the way, every other jersey that walks into that stadium is Puka Nacua. It's like a mix of Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, and then Puka Nacua. 17 is like all over it because people just love his style of play. All right. Anyway, bottom line is,
Hey, really quick, sorry.
Yeah.
Because to get back on topic, and quote on Twitter, BYU Statsman, he did a breakdown of the 2 time zones thing, and then also in Florida, and it's largely a pre-Kalani problem. So pre-Kalani, Lavelle was 6-8 in the East Coast time zone. Croton 0-2. Bronco was 2-9. So Bronco really struggled going 2 time zones. Kalani's 9-7. So Kalani's a winning record on the East Coast. And if you take that out and it's just Florida, Lavelle was 0-4, Bronco was 0-3, Kalani's 2-1. So I mean, I think they've pretty safe to me. I mean, he's got a winning record in the Eastern Time Zone and a winning record in Florida. Like, maybe we can put that to bed.
Just say it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Well, we talked to
and
Connor
I think
Pay, and Connor brought up, Alex, you know, that he talked about they have guys that have really dialed – they got guys that have really worked on that, and they've got that dialed in, and they think it's made a difference.
well, the
Pre-game
sports
prep,
science guys.
what they do during the week,
Yeah.
the sports science guys, yeah.
It was kind of
They
interesting to
sleep-
see
they-
how
they
he
skip-
rolled
they
it
get
out.
to bed at different times.
Yeah,
they found ways
So,
to really deal with that.
So what did he say? They have they basically on their first meeting that they have as a team on like very first thing Monday morning is a presentation from the sports science group, and they sit these guys down and they go, hey, here's what your plan, here's what your schedule is this week. Okay, you're going to be getting up at X time. You're going to be eating at this time, and everybody's got their own menu, obviously, like depending on kind of what they've planned out for each guy. But like, they're like, you're eating at this time every
apparently
day.
it's like an Uncrustable every 2 hours. Did you guys
Right.
see that article?
Really?
In The Athletic?
Ye-
No, they
yeah,
did an
there's-
article in the NFL.
Those things are underrated. Those things are amazing.
the
Not
leading
good for
team,
you, but I love me an
Denver consumes 750 Uncrustables a week.
Wow.
Anyway,
well,
sorry, I got
I'm trying to
sidetracked, but like
but
Uncrustables
you
got
know-
to be in there.
But you brought up the food thing. I can't remember who it was. Various times in our careers, we've covered guys who, the coaching staff goes, "Hey, you're going to need to put on some weight." And I remember, I want to say it was maybe Mitch Matthews when they were like, "Hey, you're gonna need to gain some weight here." They wanted him to be not 170 or something, like his freshman or sophomore year. So they're like, and it was like he was like so sad about it. He's like, "Dude, I'm trying so hard, man." I'm like, I have like a full jar of peanut butter a day and like 19 Uncrustables.
That's bringing me PTSD about my freshman year of college.
Oh, see, they probably made you.
Did you set an alarm? There's always There's always a couple dudes on the team that got
Fat Farm Club. We had Fat Farm, 6
Oh.
a.m. We had to be in the HC and just forcing food down.
Yeah.
Fat Farm.
Yeah.
Well, and
I've
some
never-
of the dudes, they make them set an alarm at like 2 or 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
and you make a peanut butter and jelly before
Oh
you
my gosh.
Go to sleep?
and you got milk before you go to sleep, and you put it on your bedside, and the
Still didn't
alarm
work
wakes
for
up,
me.
and you got to eat it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
At that age, like metabolism, you can't. I honestly, until you're about 19 or 20, it slows down. You can really start packing on the weight. But if a dude's not put it on by the time he's 18,
Yeah.
he's not going to until he
And I had a
kinda hits
whole
that
loaf
plateau.
of bread and a whole
Love it.
jar of peanut butter on my nightstand every night.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, for any of our aspiring high school players, although a lot of them are on buys, a trick, you can't really taste it. You get extra virgin olive oil, and you kind of got to taste it, make sure you don't get the smoky or flavorful ones.
Yeah.
But like throwing some of that in a protein shake, like as you take a protein shake, is a way to get good healthy calories and
Extra
fat.
fats.
Yeah, without like in an easily consumable way. So
I
there's
feel
a
like
little
you
hack for
gotta.
it. Olive
I
oil
feel
in
like
the
you gotta.
protein shake.
I feel like you gotta wear a diaper the rest of the day after you do something like that.
Doing that.
It's not castor oil.
My
man.
go-to, if you
Jeez,
want to hear
Alex.
mine, so my go-to to try and like round out the profile of the protein shake is I put oats in there for fiber and an apple just to keep my carbs up, keep my glycogen up.
Yeah.
And my brothers would be like, "Oh, that's great," because they'd like try it and they thought it was gross because like it's gritty and it doesn't taste good
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. I was like, you ever seen one of those horses at the Kentucky Derby? Glistening, their muscles sinewy. If you want to look like a horse, you gotta eat like a horse. So apples and oats with a little bit of chocolate protein
Listen.
powder.
Nutrition science is so interesting. If people get into it, it is so interesting to fine tune all of that. You're hearing him talk about his glycogen and how his hair follicles grow longer and all that. Like it's so interesting with the pills you
Well,
So hopefully BYU's doing that with 2 time zones.
I was gonna say
That was
in
quite
the
a
end-
detour to 2 time zones.
No, but that's what it is, right? They're like they're on these weird schedules, and hopefully they've kind of dialed it in. But again, 2 time zone travel is not new for this team, for Utah. These teams they get on planes and
Hey,
it's the same. If
by
it's an
the
hour
way-
and 45-minute flight versus a 2.5-hour flight versus a 3-hour flight, like they do this every week if they're traveling. So.
Is Indiana's dude named Signetti?
Yes.
Right? Did y'all see his interview? Because
Yes.
they just went back and
Yeah,
who'd
I
they
talked
beat
about it
on the East
yesterday.
Coast?
He goes, screw
Yeah,
all that.
he said
I'm getting to
as
the
late as
hotel as late as
possible.
possible,
Yep.
waking up when I can, and it's worked for his guys.
beating their butt and getting out.
Right.
Yeah, I
except
love
for,
it. So I do think a big part of that is mentality, right? Like,
Yes.
so I talked about how Kalani's maintained, like everyone's got the good workman-like mentality. They're not letting big heads. I also feel like that 2 time zone thing, like whatever the plan is, you just got to convince. It's almost like the Space Jam Michael Jordan's, magic juice at halftime. Like whatever the plan is, you just got to get your players to buy in, all in on that plan. And it's the old, I don't know if it was Winston Churchill or whatever, but the old saying, better to be united behind an average plan than divided behind a perfect one.
Yeah.
Like whatever that plan is, you just got to make sure your players got buy-in and are convinced, as evidenced by Signetti, who literally like architected Indiana's plan to be there. They were there just over 24 hours.
Nebraska's right? Was that the Nebraska trip?
Yeah, I can't
beat
remember
them
which.
well,
50.
no, they
Yeah,
no,
anyways.
Nebraska. I thought
But, like-
Nebraska was at home. Nebraska was at home.
Or was
I
it the
think, 'cause
UCLA game?
I thought it was
UCLA.
UCLA. I
Yeah, it
thought
was
UCLA or Oregon,
And they
but
kicked
it
their butt.
wasn't Oregon
It was
because Oregon
UCLA.
hasn't lost.
Yep.
So anyway, whatever it is, just if you can get your guys bought in behind it, and I think Kalani's done a good job by that, as evidenced by the records that we just reviewed.
So weird thing is, and if you again of all the stuff that we could have predicted for this year, what would have happened in the Big 12? Colorado hosting Cincinnati is one of the biggest games of the conference year so far, if you can believe it. I know it's freaking weak. That's what's hard is like I mean, listen, Scott Satterfield, the head coach of Cincinnati, like honestly, JJ, we've talked about this. When you watch him walking around Big 12 Media Day, you're like, so is that one of the ADs right there? Is that one of the deputy communications directors?
Right.
And you're like, you forget, like, oh yeah, no, this guy's one of the head
He
coaches.
was the
there.
most anonymous coach at Big 12
Zero
Media Day,
zero knowledge.
guarantee it.
And by the way, Cincinnati is totally forgettable in so many ways. And I'm not trying to be insulting to Cincinnati. What I'm saying is that they're in this weird spot where they're an East Coast time zone team, that is actually further but it's totally
Yeah, that's
removed
in
from
the
the other teams that
Midwest.
are out there. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
everybody, you don't think of Cincinnati, and in BYU's case and in Utah's case, they're not playing Cincinnati this year, so we totally have forgotten about that team. But are you more shocked that Cincinnati's having a good year or that Colorado's having a good year right now in the Big 12?
Well, you look at the records: 5-2 and 3-1 for both of those teams.
Yeah.
It's Colorado for me, bro. It's
crazy.
Colorado. I've been down in Colorado this entire offseason and last year.
We all have.
And look at them. They are just trucking along,
Yeah.
I don't think they haven't been like mind-blowing, as far as that, but like the fact that they're digging out and sticking out these wins, as much as you want to hate them, you got to.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I feel like a big part of our distaste for Colorado is the fact that the media wants to push Deion down our throats so much. And even Deion wants to push himself down the throat, but like the reality is there's actually some substance to it. And credit those players and those staff that kind of move in silence while, they're the headline on First Take and they're the headline on the Big Noon Kickoff and all that stuff. Credit the Colorado players as much as it kind of pains me because I always want to be countered or to whatever Stephen A. Smith's trying to shove down my throat. but credit to those players and that staff for actually turning a corner on what was a very abysmal and bad product the second half of last season for Colorado.
Well, I think there's part of that goes that I mean. We see Cincinnati, you go, hey, you know what? Good for you guys. You see Colorado, and you're like, oh, I don't believe it. No, they're fake.
Yeah.
No, they're going to fall
way.
off. No, it's exactly right. And there's part of but again, it's because you don't think of Cincinnati. Another one that is, I don't know if it's a big one or not, but it's certainly a game that the Big 12's kind of tried to halfway make a rivalry game is between Texas Tech and TCU. I think that the Red Raiders are actually, they're actually underdogs in this one. That's like weird. TCU, I have no idea what to think of that team. I mean, you got to watch them close up, Sly. I don't think Josh Hoover is that good of a quarterback. I don't know. Yeah, it's almost a touchdown difference or a touchdown favorite is TCU going into this one.
Yeah, I mean, Hoover's actually watching tape on him. He read me a lot of Retzlaff. And so, he has a strong arm, but he takes so many risks and does so many dumb things that he just causes turnovers.
Right.
Even from just mishandling the snap, mishandling the handoff to the running back, mishandling the pitch on speed option. He will fumble. He will throw intercept. He'll throw into triple coverage. He'll do some of the dumbest things. And that's what pissed me off about Utah last week. He's doing that, and we're not taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
We didn't get no turnovers last week. And I'm just I was so pissed. Besides the initial drive where they just fumbled it themselves, we didn't cause any. And that just pissed me off because I'm TCU is literally giving people 3 turnovers a game minimum, and we can't do nothing. And so
I love how you said
that. Absolutely amazing receivers.
I love how you said that I was pissed as you're yelling into the microphone. I was pissed. It was no, you are still. You are still.
You're clearly over it. Sly.
Nah. Yeah, it's just so underachieving.
But TCU's a
imagine
touchdown
if I was
favorite.
a coach at Utah right now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, these guys it'd be terrible.
Get ready for that dunk.
But Alex, you said they're a touchdown favorite?
Yes,
TCU
TCU's a touchdown favorite over Texas
so
Tech.
they're
Now again,
getting
that could be because I think a lot of people looked at at Texas Tech and went, "Yeah, that's a team that's overachieved."
I think they're getting a Utah bump.
Well, they're getting a Utah bump, and here's the other thing about about Texas Tech. They've been scoring a ton of points. They might be. I think it's crazy. I think BYU is actually number 1 in the conference in points scored, but I think TCU in points per game is still ahead of. Now I don't know what it is, but they've been scoring a bunch, but they've been giving up a ton too. So this is one of those. They score a ton, but they give up a ton of points too. I mean, they did it against Abilene Christian. I think they gave up 50-something points, won by a point in overtime. They had a 44-41 game at one point this year. So they're scoring a lot of points. They're not stopping a lot of people, and so that might be a little bit of what we're seeing. But you're
except
exactly
Utah.
Right. You're exactly right, Sly. I think you've got Riley, you've got yourself a Utah bump for this TCU team. Okay. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's a Friday, and we're talking football non-stop. All football, all the time. This is another edition of Football Friday with JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We're talking shop here at the Doug Smith Kia in Linden. Chad's helping me out. I'm just trying to learn more about these cars here, and I'm a car guy. I love learning about that stuff. So all of this is interesting to me. I'm at the Doug Smith dealership here in Linden, the brand new location for the Doug Smith Kia, and everybody else is partying without me up in Brigham City. The Box Elder Bees taking on the Granger Lancers tonight in a round 1 5A matchup. So who gets the buys in the first week of the playoffs? And I'm trying to figure. And do they do that at all the classifications?
So depends
JJ?
on what classification.
Yeah. So in 6A, there's the 15 through 18 seeds basically playing games to get to see who plays number 1 and number 2. So 15 will play 18, 16 will play 17. In 5A and 4A, the top 24 teams in the RPI computer rankings are in the state playoffs, and then seeds 9 through 24 are playing this week. So 1 through 8 get a bye into the round of 16.
Okay, all right.
So that's how they settle it in the big classifications.
And
there you go.
And by the way, go a couple more deep. Sorry, just because
No.
I like a wagon, and I want to give credit where credit's due. Morgan averaged 51 points. They finished with 510 points in the season, 10 games, 10-0, 510 points. They gave up 41. That is an average margin of victory of 51 to 4.1.
That's insane.
So I don't know. The playoffs in 3A might be a formality, and maybe I just jinxed them. But, yeah, it's an exciting, fun time of year.
Is Morgan still 3A? I feel like that's cheating.
Yes,
I mean,
they
I know
are.
they just do it off of. I know they just do it off of population of the school and everything. But
Well,
man,
the tough thing
those
is
guys,
like
they beat all of our
Yeah, they
kids
do.
in all of their age groups too. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like they would be. I want to go get eyes on them. I haven't had the chance to see them in person, but me and my brother are planning a trip up there to the quarterfinals because the semifinals and finals they alternate in 3A between North and South because that's where
Right.
the regions are oriented.
Uh-huh.
So they're playing down at SUU and Dixie this year, SUU and Utah Tech. But me and my brother are going to go up to the quarterfinal and try and gauge because I'm pretty sure they'd be competing for a state champion at 4A for sure, and they'd probably be a pretty decent 5A team at least based off the way they've been handling their business.
Yeah, that Morgan Stadium up there too is like it's like legit old school grass. It smells like a farm out there, and so like
yeah,
it is.
the
it's
crown
like
is
old
about
school.
the crown's about 4.5 feet. You can
Yes.
you can only see
Yes.
players from the waist up on the other side.
Right, so that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, it still has that old school high school football feel to it because I'm just one of those guys that loves the grass fields and nobody has them these days. So there you go. All right, let's kick off the rest of the program here, jumping into some of the things. This is going to be our segment where we make predictions because JJ and Sly have to sneak off before our last segment here. So let's just go without further ado. Let's get into some of our games here. Utah State traveling to Laramie. I felt bad for Scotty when he said, I'm about to hit the road to Laramie after the show here. I went, ooh. I don't know if he's driving or if they're flying, but I mean, because he's not with the team, which means he's probably driving. Yeah, so Jeremy just confirmed he's driving to Laramie. Not a drive I'd love to make, and maybe it's a trip that the Aggies are looking forward to because it's one that they're actually favored in right now. FPI's got them, I think, a 58% chance to win this game. Where are you guys at with this one?
I think the Ags get it. I think it's less than a field goal. If you're going to make me put points on it, I think
Well, that's what we do.
like
I mean, my goodness, we gotta do it.
33-30.
Okay.
I think it's ugly, sloppy. I don't think either team can really stop the other, but I think the Ags get it done. I just think the Aggies have better. They have more playmakers. Like I think Royals is good, and I think Faison is good. And from what I remember of watching BYU play against Wyoming, I don't remember seeing those guys that be like, okay, this team is bad, but that individual player is a playmaker, and that's where I give the Aggies the edge.
So you're keeping the scores on the you're keeping the tally, right, Riles? That's
Oh
kinda
yeah,
your,
group chat. Let me.
Yeah, you're
okay,
you're the
I'm
recorder
doing
of the recorder of the group. It's like when you're called as the Boy Scouts historian. You're
Secretary.
the recorder.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm getting it done.
So-
That's okay.
So
I'll take it.
life's tough being 1-6 for the Aggies. Not what
And
we
for the
expected them
Cowboys.
to be
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
And for the Cowboys, I've watched Wyoming play. I've watched Utah State play. The Aggies are a better football team. The Aggies are going to find a way. The Aggies are more dynamic offensively. Wyoming, look, Utah State's defense has been atrocious this year, but Wyoming does not have the electric offense to take advantage of that, and that's why I'm going to give Utah State the edge. I think the Aggies get the win 31-27.
So the only game that Wyoming has won this year, they beat Air Force. They've scored, here are their scores for this year. 7 points, 13 points, 17, 14, 31 when they beat Air Force, 24 when they lost to San Diego State, then 14. And so you're not getting a lot of scores. And we saw Svoboda in person, obviously, when they played BYU earlier this year. He is not a good quarterback. I know Nate Dreiling tried to be nice about it. He's like, he's an athlete. And I was like, well, I don't think he's very good.
He is an athlete, but he's not a quarterback.
Yeah.
He's technically.
By definition. Maybe
he's
not
on
by
the
actual
team.
makeup, but like
Yeah,
he's
he's on the team.
technically.
So I'm going to go. I think that they stay in that same area. It's going to be about that 17 to 20 points. I'm going to give them the same exact score. I'm going to say that Wyoming gets the treatment they gave Air Force. It's going to be a 31 to 19 game in favor of the Aggies. So there you go. Sly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm along the same lines as you guys. I think Wyoming is giving up a lot of points, not scoring a lot. Utah State's offense is actually putting up a lot of numbers. So I got to give the edge to them. I think it's going to be a 35-17 game, Utah State.
All right, Utah and Houston, down in Houston. We'll start with you, JJ, on this one because these are two teams that I think Vegas does not like this line in terms of the over-under is not favorable for either team because neither have been scoring very much, and so they have it as a low-scoring game. Do you see Utah breaking out this week with the motivation of the changes that they've had at the offensive?
So, yeah, Houston's offense is one of the worst in the country. Utah's, for the last 3 games, has been one of the worst in the country. Mm-hmm. Not a great matchup as far as that goes. I think Utah's going to find a little bit of something with Bajakian coming in. I think that there's going to be a highly motivated Utah team down there. Houston, I don't know where they're at. They just got their butts kicked by Kansas. I don't think they feel like they have a lot of hope right now. Utah, they're not going to be dynamic. They're not going to put up a lot of points, but I think they get it done 19-10.
Okay. Ooh, that's an ugly game right there.
It is.
I mean, I've been doing what I've been doing for the rest of the season. Normally, I'd come into this game 70-7, but that's not what I'm doing today. But I think
Utah versus a hurricane. Who wins? Who wins, Sly?
The Bears. The Bears win. Yeah. I still to this day, I think this defense has done a terrific job, and after even though the defense will still take responsibility for things, they scored points, right? And so defense will still be pissed off about that. As we said, this offense in Houston is atrocious. So I got them giving or letting Houston only score 3 points in this game, and I think we're going to put up 24 or 27 points. So I got 27-3 Utah.
I think the defense gets at least one score. And so the 24 or 28 points that I initially kind of had in my head for that offense, because I think they're gonna be pretty motivated this week. I'm gonna go 34-13. That's gonna be my for the Utes.
Nice.
Let me see. That's wait, no, we need Riley now, right?
Riley's been quiet here.
Well, it's because here's why. All right, Netflix released a new documentary called The Comeback about the Red Sox in the 2003-2004, and I was watching it and I texted my brothers. I was like, sports are better when like opponents truly hate each other.
Oh yeah.
So you can't see us, Alex, but I'm opposite side. I'm stretching my cord as far away because I know Sly was heated just a moment ago. So I'm keeping my distance, and we all know who's going to win in an altercation if it comes down to it.
He's used the word pissed on a record 97 times during this program.
Yeah.
We get it, Sly.
So sports are better when rivals hate each other, and we are a bye week away from the rivals squaring off again. So I got my fiber of being cannot predict a Utah victory here. So I got Houston 16-14, winning in a heartbreaker.
Wow.
You know,
What's crazy is it's not that wild.
I'm turning into you and David Nixon.
Sports are better when rivals hate each other.
You guys are so hard on your teams. You guys are so hard on BYU. I loved it at the same time.
It's all
but
good.
I feel that way about Utah right now. So.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
That's why they're they them. That's why they're they them this week. All right.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's true. That's true.
So, finally, BYU hitting the road to UCF. I'll start with this one just because I feel like I cheat off of other people's scores sometimes. But I'm going to go I think UCF is going to be a very tough out for BYU. I know they're 2.5-point favorites, but I'm going to say that this one is a 28-27 eker for BYU. They get another miracle close win this week at UCF, but it's going to take everything for them to be able to do it, and that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go they don't cover. I'm going to say no. I guess UCF won't cover. So there you go.
It's the favorite, so they will cover.
28-27 BYU.
I just swung the BYU, didn't it?
No.
No, it
Not
did
on
during
ESPN
the
Bet.
week.
It's up to 2.5
or not on
now.
BetSPN.
Isn't that
It
crazy?
did during
I
the
don't know
week,
if DraftKings
and then
or
it's,
whoever
and then
is
it
different.
swung back again. No, it's everybody's
UCF
got them.
2.5-point favorites
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
we speak right now.
I'll
That's wild.
get
Crazy.
mine. I'll get mine out of the way. BYU 28-24. I'm similar to you.
Okay.
I'm the same. I got the same energy as you guys. I think both of these guys will be able to put up points, but it's going to be raining, and I think that is going to have an effect on stuff.
Fall
So
rainstorm.
I got 24-21 BYU.
Oh,
The rain
wow.
makes me think a little bit, but BYU has scored 34 or more points in 6 of their 7 wins this year. That's not going to change. They
Okay.
beat UCF 34-31, last-second field goal.
All right. There you go.
I like it, but when you get high-scoring teams, they always score
Can I-
lower.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know why.
I just want to say, because we're guys, I just sent the group, or I didn't hit send, but I finished it there. I hit send. We got too much groupthink going on here.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, you guys all say last thing. I did pick 28-24, but a backdoor cover. Like
Okay.
it's 28-17.
So you got the
UCF
Cougs
sneaks a
winning.
late snort.
You
Yeah.
got the Cougs
Like,
winning
they're
comfortably.
like, I don't think it's. I mean, it's going to be competitive. It's not going to be. They're not going to blow the doors off of them. But like, I don't know that it's going to be in doubt past.
Okay.
very
Yeah.
far past halftime.
By the way, we've all been pretty bad at predictions this year. This is
That's
a
true.
reminder.
Yeah, I know.
Think
I
about
only
it.
remember
Thanks,
my
Utah.
winners, Alex.
Thanks, Utah.
I don't know about you guys.
All right, fine.
Between Utah and Utah State, they haven't helped us out much this year.
No. We've been trying to give props to all those guys and give them the benefit of the doubt. It's just not working out. Okay, JJ, Sly, you guys have a good call. We'll chat with you
We're
again
out.
next week. Riley's going to hang out with me the last 5 or 8 minutes here when we get back on the break here. So stay with us. It's a Football Friday, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.